Welcome to a Bad Tiki Thursday at 4:30 this afternoon. Like every Thursday, we hear from the evil Tiki himself. That's coming up later. A lot of football, a lot of baseball. We'll mix in some basketball as we get closer to tip tonight. The Knicks welcoming in the Golden State Warriors and Steph Curry. We'll get an update on Jalen Brunson as the show rolls on. But there is this great philosopher. You may have heard of him. His name was Mark McGuire. He was a big slugger back in the day. And Mark McGuire once said something in front of the United States Congress back in 2005 that resonates with me to this day. And it represents how I feel this afternoon as a fan of the New York Jets. Mark McGuire, over and over again, said, I don't want to talk about the past. I want to talk about the future.
Smart man.
And even though it was his way of BSing us about steroid use, to me as a Jet fan, rehashing the horrors of last year, we've done it. We've all done it. We did it yesterday. We did it in December. We did it in November. We did it in January. And yes, you need to learn from your mistakes. But now, as we get closer to the beginning of free agency in just 2 weeks, and we get closer to the NFL draft, and we get closer to potential big blockbuster trades, I want to know what the Jets are going to do next, because this is the most important offseason Joe Douglas has ever had. So let's have an open discussion about the future. Let's start off with one guy I want to at least kind of get a taste of.
Okay.
And that is the idea that the Minnesota Vikings may consider dealing the great Justin Jefferson. Now, it's interesting, right? He's one of the best wide receivers on the planet. He wants a massive new contract.
I haven't heard that.
The Jets could use another receiver.
No, the Jets should go get him.
You think the Jets should go get him?
Absolutely, they should go get him.
Why?
Because they need talent. They need someone alongside Garrett Wilson, and they have a short window to do it because of Aaron Rodgers. Now, I know he says he's going to play 3 years, but that could be 1 or it could be 3. We don't know.
I agree.
So
you have to think of short window. I agree with that.
Think of short window. And God, think of the urgency of the New York Jets right now, from the head coach, the coordinator, like Joe Douglas. There is we need to win right now. And so I know that they have a lot of glaring issues. We talked about it yesterday, especially on the offensive line. But you can fill that somewhat in free agency, right? Maybe you can get a young kid later in the second round or in the third round. They don't have a second rounder, in the third round or fourth round who can play right now. But when you get an opportunity to go get one of, if not the best soon-to-be available free agents on the market in Justin Jefferson, absolutely go do that. Now, here's why from the Minnesota side you do this. I'm not confident they're re-signing Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is free. He's coming off an Achilles injury. Obviously, we saw him in NFL honors dancing around on stage, so we know that he's not compromised. He's likely going to get tons of interest from all of these quarterback-needy teams. And if you're Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, who is the general manager at the Minnesota Vikings, it might be better for you to have a reset year, right? And don't re-sign Kirk Cousins. Don't overpay for Justin Jefferson. You just drafted what's his name? Jordan Addison a year ago.
Who had a good year when JJ was out.
Exactly. So
especially.
Do you really need him? Especially if you're in a reset year? The answer is no. So it makes sense for Minnesota to move on. It makes more sense for me, if I'm the Jets, to go get that dude. Right? He is that guy.
I'm surprised you said that because, listen, I've done a lot of stargazing over the last couple of years as a sports fan. I watched my basketball team get a bunch of stars. I watched the Mets get a bunch of stars. And I watched the Jets go get the ultimate quarterback star in Aaron Rodgers. And superstars are sexy, and having great players is a lot of fun. Justin Jefferson is a wonderful player. If I'm ranking just as a football fan, the top wide receivers in the NFL right now, he's definitely on that short list of 1, 2, or 3.
Right.
So I have nothing but respect for the football player that is Justin Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson.
But enough of the stargazing. Like, we don't have to do that.
Yeah, but you do.
No. We have to add a wide receiver, but we don't have to go out and trade our first-round pick potentially.
So what are you going to do? You're going to draft one of these. There's like 15 kids in this draft that are pretty good wide receivers.
I'll tell you what I would do.
Right. You can go get one of those kids, but you never know because we see it every year. High draft pick, first, second, third round draft pick at wide receiver. They were great in college.
Right.
They may be great in their careers, but they come to the NFL and they struggle a little bit.
No, I agree with you, and that's why I cannot. If I'm the Jets right now, and they have a first-round pick, obviously they don't have their second from the Rodgers deal, obviously you're going to use your draft capital and hopefully hit on players that can help you now. But really, it's about bringing in veterans because they can't mess around. Especially, no,
so you're speaking my language.
No, I'm not
so
because I'll tell you why I'm not. Because Calvin Ridley or Tyler Boyd or Mike Evans, they're not as good as Justin Jefferson.
First of all, Mike Evans is not going anywhere.
Why?
He is going to be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer.
Well, right now
he's
almost
guaranteed.
Okay, but right now he's not a Tampa Bay Buccaneer.
Yes, you're right, but
okay?
still.
He's available for now. Now, maybe he ends up staying. Michael Pittman, the same thing. But I want quantity over just superstars. You know what I mean? The cost of doing business to get a guy like Justin Jefferson, and this is the same crap I would hear about Devontae Adams. It's like I'm remembering the same thing.
Right.
For months and months, it was go get Devontae Adams. He's Aaron Rodgers' friend. He's a top wide receiver. I get he's elite. I get he's great. If this was fantasy football and you could just place him on this roster, fine. But what I'm concerned about is the assets it's going to take to get him. I'm not concerned about the cap. Because as you say, the cap is fungible, which means it's crap, right? I'm with you on that.
Yes.
It's not about the cap. It's about the fact that I want to use my assets to fill as many holes as humanly possible.
Can I raise my hand here?
Of course.
Yes.
What?
Okay, you can go get Mike Evans. You can go get Devontae Adams. They're 30, 31 years old.
Okay.
Justin Jefferson is 24.
Yeah, but my window is short. I can't worry about 7 years from now.
It's going to be your window for right now, and it can be your window for later. And he's a star.
He is a star.
He's not a pain in the ass diva wide receiver. Right? He is a superstar grinder who is going to add so much to this team. And he'll be an immediate leader because of his work ethic, because what he's all about. Right? He's got the college pedigree, the championship at LSU. He's been nothing but fantastic. I mean, he was on pace to be the most prolific first 3-year wide receiver in the NFL before he got hurt. Right? So he's your guy if he's available. Now, the question is, what's it going to cost?
Well, it's going to cost a first-round pick. I can tell you that right now.
So, but which first-round pick? Is it this year's first-round pick, or is it a collection of future first-round picks? And if it's the latter, it's definitely doable, and that's all negotiable, right? That's all Joe Douglas being Joe Douglas, right? All I've heard for the last 3 years is Joe Douglas is one of the great traders in the National Football League. Look what he did with Jamal Adams and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, go do that, right? Find a deal that works because this guy changes your team. And if Aaron Rodgers, let's say when Aaron Rodgers is healthy for 18 weeks, this team is going to be dynamic with Garrett, Justin Jefferson, Breece Hall. Like the skill positions start taking care of themselves, and all you need is some luck in free agency or a couple of hits in mid or late round draft picks at the offensive line. This team gets better immediately.
I think that sometimes we get too caught in superstars. He is a superstar player. I'm not here.
But it's the bed you already made.
Well, it's not the bed I've already made.
Hold on.
You got to put the right players around this team.
The New York Jets have started building, you know what, like, you know, seen those King's beds? Not like a king bed, like a king's bed. It's massive.
Like where a king sleeps?
Yes. Yeah. It's got this massive like post, and it's shielded with curtains, and it's laced with gold, or actually even built out of gold. That's what the Jets are doing, right? They're chasing royalty. And if you're already doing it with Aaron Rodgers, you might as well go all the way, or just going half-ass isn't going to get it done. Right? You're going to bring in some guy who just can't quite figure it out. You're going to bring in some guy like Christian Watson, who was really good now, but in his first year with Aaron Rodgers, Aaron was frustrated with him. Yeah. You're going to bring in one of those guys that Aaron's going to get frustrated with. And all of this expectation that you've built up is going to die because Aaron doesn't want that player.
No.
So you got to bring in somebody who Aaron Rodgers is going to say, yep, you're my dude. You get it. I understand. You understand it. Let's go make some magic happen.
I'm not suggesting that the draft is going to be the magic elixir for the Jets because I understand the risk of not only not hitting, but not hitting right away. Like, I'll give you an example from your team. Andrew Thomas was not great as a rookie.
100%.
And now he's fine. Now he's awesome.
Yeah,
now he's fantastic. Now. But when you're the Jets and your window is 1, 2, in a best-case scenario, 3 years, but you're probably looking at a very, very tight window. When you draft someone, that guy needs to be productive immediately.
Yes.
Immediately.
For the Jets.
For the Jets.
Yes.
So I'm not arguing with you about, like, I need to hit on draft picks. I want to hit on multiple veterans, though.
Mm-hmm.
And in free agency, you've got the ability to add 2 solid wide receivers. Maybe not someone as good as Justin Jefferson, but solid wide receivers because you already have a number 1 in Garrett Wilson. Like, I know it's appealing to get another elite-level guy, the way it was with Devontae Adams a couple of months ago. And now that's out the window because we know that's not happening.
No.
And it's appealing to think about Justin Jefferson.
Justin
like it's fantasy
Jefferson.
football. But I'd rather get solid, reliable pieces at a cost that's not going to be the cost of Justin Jefferson, who, A, is going to cost you in draft capital, and then B, is going to cost you in a massive contract extension.
but
He says it. He wants to break the bank as a wide receiver.
Yeah, but it's just money. I mean, I don't know how many times I got to say it. Money is BS. It's fungible. It's easy to get deals done if you want to get deals done. I mean, hell, just look at Aaron Rodgers' deal. We talked about how massive it was and how punitive it was going to be for the Jets. His cap number over the last 2 years is like $25 million.
Right.
It's nothing.
I get you.
It's nothing. And, yeah, you can't get rid of him because the dead money, but why would you want to get rid of him as long as he still wants to play and he can still do it at a high level? Don't forget talking about money. It doesn't matter. The cap has just gone up massively. You can structure a deal however you want it to get structured to make it fit. So it's not the money. It's about the want to. And if you want to make this team elite, you go get one of the best wide receivers in the game right now.
Yeah, I can make the team elite a different way. Would you like to hear the Evan Roberts plan?
Sure, let's hear it.
All right, here's the Evan Roberts plan. Here's the Evan Roberts plan to make this team elite. Number 1, I trade back. I'll start right there. I'm collecting extra assets. I'm moving back in the first round, and maybe I'm getting a second or third round pick. Obviously, that depends on who's trading up and how far I have to go back. But I'm giving myself another bullet because I need to throw as many bullets at the wall in this draft to see what sticks.
I think it's different than that, man.
Different than what?
I think
I just gave myself more opportunities to actually hit in this draft, which, by the way, Joe Douglas has had a track record of doing rather effectively sometimes.
But I feel like the Jets need more certainty than let's hope we get lucky.
No. I'm not done with my plan.
All right, keep going.
That's
Sorry.
part 1 of my plan. I'm just
bad.
talking about the draft, on how I'm handling the draft.
My bad.
Your handling of the draft is to trade all the picks for Justin Jefferson.
I didn't say all the picks because I don't think it's going to be all the picks.
Dude, okay, we'll get to that in a second.
Dude, you trade Justin Jefferson, the Vikings know that whoever you get traded to knows that you got to pay the dude.
I got
It
you.
makes him less valuable.
Okay.
Right? It's not like he's coming with a contract that keeps him there for 3 years, and you're just like, oh, we got to steal because you guys are moving off of him, and we want to take him. Now you get to fleece me. Minnesota can't fleece anybody because Jets, whoever trades for him, knows that there's a massive contract on the other side.
I disagree with you, but I'll address that in a few minutes. Let me finish my brilliant plan. Number 1, I'm trading back. I'm giving myself even more opportunities to maybe hit on a player or 2 in the draft. That's number 1. Number 2, free agency. 2, I got 2 fingers up. 2 solid offensive linemen, 2 veterans that I can bring in. Now, we could debate on who to go after. Tyron Smith is a guy who's got the resume. He's a Hall of Famer.
Too old.
He's never healthy. Donovan Smith is another guy, longtime Buccaneer, played 12 of 17 games last year for Kansas City, so he missed a little bit of time, but solid when he's out there. Too old?
Yeah.
Everybody's too old for you.
Of course, because we see what happens when you bring in the Dwayne Browns of the world.
Dwayne Brown is like 57 years old, though.
The best old lineman on the market's Michael Owen and Nwenu, that guy for the Patriots.
No, I understand.
That's not an age thing. That should be a target, top target.
Yeah, no, I get you. I don't know if they're going to be able to pull it off.
Well, that's the other thing, too. Tiki, I understand the cap is fungible and all that. If it truly was, we're not even having the discussion about Bryce Huff because you're figuring out how to get that done. There is
right, and they're not going to be
common
able to get it done with Bryce Huff because of that.
Honestly, I think it's less about the cap for Bryce Huff and the fact that they've drafted edges.
They have a number 1 wide receiver in Garrett Wilson. How about spend a little less, not trade any assets, and sign Gabe Davis? Like, to me, the Jets need
Davis.
Well, first of all, your plan sucks so far.
No.
Number 1, let me just finish.
That came out of your mouth.
Gabe Davis.
Because you're not giving up a first-round pick.
Turn his mic off.
No, I'm not giving up a first-round pick for anybody. I'm adding 2 offensive linemen. And look, it's difficult to know which ones you can get, which ones will work, and then B, which ones are going to stay healthy and be effective. Laken Tomlinson defies logic. I just got to tell you.
Right.
Laken Tomlinson was such a good player. He comes to the Jets, he stinks. I can't explain it. I have no idea. George Fant's a guy who was decent as a Jet when he played left tackle. He's a free agent again. Could you bring George Fant in? Fine. But my point is I need 2 veterans, 2 guys who have a track record that joins this offensive line, along with using one of my assets to draft another 2 offensive linemen. And then at wide receiver, I am targeting Calvin Ridley. He's 29 years old. He's in the prime of his career. That's a perfect number 2 opposite Garrett Wilson. I'm targeting him. You say Mike Evans, there's no chance? Okay. I'm still giving it a shot. So I'm adding a wide receiver or 2 in free agency. I'm adding 2 offensive linemen. I'm trading back in the draft in which I've got more bullets to throw at the wall, and I'm going from there. Now, the one thing you noticed is every focus I have is on fixing this offense because this offense was so bad last year. And here's the thing that bothers me. We can't say it's all Zach Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, and that will fix it. And that's not a Zach Wilson defense. Zach Wilson's terrible. I'm glad he's gone. But the idea that Aaron Rodgers will simply be the human eraser that fixes everything is not fair. Will they be significantly better? Of course.
Yeah.
But you need more. And the more is at least 2 veteran offensive linemen, and the more is solid wide receivers. It doesn't have to be Justin Jefferson. Tiki, I'm not arguing that Justin Jefferson isn't a great player, and that in a perfect world it would be awesome to have him, but I just think the cost outweighs what you can do without giving up what it's going to take to get Justin Jefferson.
So
Justin Jefferson.
I think that it's – so we get enamored with the offensive line talk, and it's almost like we need 5 great offensive linemen in order for our team to be good. You need 5. You need 2 really good offensive, good to great, and then everybody else can just be kind of a guy,
Playable.
right? Playable,
Right.
Healthy. Understand what they're supposed to do, but not necessarily. They don't have to be a superstar, right? And we saw this in the Super Bowl. We saw this with Kansas City. We saw it with the 49ers for sure. I mean, hell, John Feliciano. We remember him, right, in New York. He was the starting right guard for the San Francisco 49ers for most of the season. John Feliciano, who we couldn't wait to kick out the door, right? And he's on a Super Bowl team. We know how this works. You need one great guy. They had Trent Williams, and then you had stability, veteranship across the board. So I know what you're saying. Got to go fix the offensive line. We got to fix the offensive line. True. But when it comes down to winning in the NFL, it's playmakers. It's guys who make differences every single time they touch the ball. And all I know is that there are 6 or 7 of them in the NFL that play wide receiver, and Justin Jefferson is one of them. And if he's available, you do whatever you can do to at least have a shot at bringing him in.
All right, the other thing I want to address, because I think we have a difference of opinion on this, is what the cost is going to be to get Justin Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson.
We'll address it next, and we'll get your calls, 877-337-6666. To my fellow Jet fans, we have spent enough time going through the dead body that was the 2023 season. On this February 29th, leap day, leap year, 2024, just a mere few weeks away from free agency. It's time to look ahead. It's time to fix this mess. It's time to build the Jets into what they can be, which is a legitimate contender. How do you do it? Tiki has his idea. Go get Justin Jefferson. I got my idea. We'll hear from you, 877-337-6666.